Now, what's in a word? Well, the Oxford English Dictionary's latest update has gone global again, and this time West Africa got some shine. Nigeria, in particular, is represented by a whole range of words, including very useful ones like abeg, meaning please, or often used as an expression of disbelief. Then there is amala, a traditional dish made from yam or cassava flour, and of course, nyash, the word for a person's backside. We thought we'd explore this a little bit more with someone for whom words are their stock in trade, whether they're words you'd hear along the Thames or deep in a Lagos street market. Wana Udabang is a storyteller, a writer, poet, and spoken word performer, and joins us now. Wana, we're talking about some 22 very specifically Nigerian words. As a Nigerian writer and poet, what do you make of these words being, enshrined in the hallowed binders of the Oxford English Dictionary?
I think it's interesting. I'm somebody who works with words. I think that our language is constantly evolving, right? There are a lot of words that are in the dictionary, and we're always looking for the etymology. Sometimes it's Latin, sometimes it's Greek. So why not Nigerian words, I think, in my opinion. And for me as a writer, I think about it and I'm like, this also means that as our work continues to travel far and wide, as we continue to connect globally, it also means that we're translating ourselves much less as well. And I think it's fostering connection too.
Some might say this is cultural validation by the West. Others might say it's a long overdue recognition of our linguistic innovation and our reach, which you just referred to. Where do you weigh in specifically?
I don't think I'm interested in validation of the West. I'm just interested in connection with people across the world. We're in a global society. We're having conversations in so many different places and different ways. The internet is connecting us together. And I think for me, it's really about connection. It's also about updating language, right? Many of us possess this dual identity as colonized peoples. So I think it also kind of speaks to a certain part of our identity that has been erased before. And a kind of resurgence and reclamation, and how are we using that to connect and to also shift language and shift meaning. Also creating more context for how we connect with people. When we think about certain words, they're embedded and coded with expression, with culture, with certain kinds of histories. And I think that allows other people to understand us even in more interesting ways, or understand our complexities and our nuances. So, why not have the words to help each other and to connect with each other?
Wana, you mentioned colonized people. I was born in Nigeria, proud Nigerian family, but I've lived most of my life in the West speaking English, and I'm often aware the language I've used to navigate the world is one of the most lasting vestiges of British colonialism. And I wonder if you've had similar thoughts along those lines.
Absolutely. As I said, we're colonized peoples, which means that we also carry dual identities, because when many of us are not speaking the language of our ancestors, we're not speaking the language of our indigenous cultures as well. So, it's a complex existence to live in. Many of us are also translating in one language to another. But I think there's also something to be said about the fact that for us, even English as a language takes on different forms, right? So whether it's Creole in some cultures or Patois in other cultures, even as a Nigerian English is very, very different. It becomes a dialect in itself as well. And I think, so it also speaks to the evolution of language. It also speaks to how, to the structures of colonialism and resistance, and how language is used, that is a form of resistance, how we speak as well. So whether that's incorporating elements of our languages into that, or just kind of overtaking and turning English upside its head as well.
As you speak, I have all these thoughts, including the fact that, again, you emphasize the fact that it's complex. And I think about the fact that the inclusion of these Nigerian words in the dictionary shows us language is dynamic. It bends, changes a little. And people with your heritage, my heritage, contribute to that change. But as the words become more widespread, can they lose a little bit of their soul? And how do we preserve that?
Ooh, I think that's a very interesting question. The idea of language losing its soul. I think that the language will continue to evolve. There's so many, an example of one of those I think I saw in the new words that were added was the idea was abeg or biko. And, understanding it in this very nuanced way, as it's not just please, but it's also an exasperated feeling. It kind of has so many different feelings. I think culture is dynamic, language is dynamic, and it will continue to evolve. It will continue to be embedded with newer meanings, take on different forms as well. So that is we can't live in a world that's static, right? The world is always going to evolve. Language is always going to evolve. I think the question is how do we, connect with that language? How do we use it? How do we use it to educate? How do we also use it to reclaim and to restore as well? There are people, as you said, you grew up in Nigeria, you were born in Nigeria, but, you grew up in a different country. And there are people who do not even understand the context of where their ancestry is from. And I think this is also something to not just educate, but for them to feel a connection and to claim back as well.
I'm trying to stay professional here because I'm nodding my head in violent agreement with virtually everything you're saying. What are some words or expressions you think really reflect Nigeria today that deserve to be in future OED updates?
Oh dear. Oh, I can't. I'm trying to think. I feel like there's so many.
I'm putting you on the spot, Juana.
This is really putting me on the spot. I think Nigerian language, Nigerian English, I like to say Nigerian English is so dynamic and so poetic because I'm a poet as well, that I don't even think it's words. I think it's really even phrases. There's phrases I quite like when, for instance, when somebody says my chest cuts or something, which kind of shows fear. I think it's more phrases, but I'm sure there are lots of words that are just not coming to me right now.
You've done well enough.
I think even as a Nigerian, I'm constantly translating even from Nigerian English to another English to speak to people in different modes and different spaces. So it's very interesting. I think it's a welcome development personally.
I put you on the spot, but you passed the test valiantly. Juana Udabang, many, many thanks to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.